everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it. Meet my friend, Harry. I'm ready, Harry. It's a long story. Anyway, today I want to talk about some of the books that I have hauled. I've been hauling books. Some of the books that I've added to Mikasa, the collection, or the reading stack, or something like that, in the month of May 2024. And what I have found in life is that anything that comes out of a box is better. So I've got some things to come out of a box. I've done some shopping in the month of May 2024. Done some shopping on the interwebs, at the stores, and things like that. And here I want to show you a little bit of a store I went to just the other day. Here we are at the Paperback Book Exchange, and I've been here once before, bought some cool novelizations, and actually a couple of Robert McCammon books. So I'm going to go in here and give these folks another look and see if I can find something to add to my collection. And naturally, when I go to stores and I pick stuff up, it is good. Sometimes I go to some cool bookstores and I end up with nothing. But this is a store, this is the second time I've been there. Both times I picked stuff up, and both times I got movie novelizations and I got Robert R. McCammon stuff, which I don't know about you, but for me, shopping around the state of Florida, I often don't see Robert R. McCammon stuff there, but this time I did. So here are a few things I picked up just the other day. And here they are, out of the box. So the first thing I want to show you is the receipt, the Paperback Book Exchange. And they stuffed, I won't show you the receipt, they stuffed me a bookmark in there. There you go. So you want to check them out. There's their bookmark, stuffed in one of my books. But this one, I collect movie novelizations for movies that I dig. And Independence Day, like it or not, was a movie that I did dig. Now, I watched this movie when it came out of the theaters, seen it a few times since then, and I liked it. It was better than I expected up front, and it still stands up today. One that every few years, 5 or 6 years, I might watch it again, and I really dig it. But again, I collect movie novelizations, and this one is one that kind of has some of the neat aspects to it. I haven't read it, but it is a first print, first edition. You can see the number line goes all the way to 1 there, and there's what's on the back. Tells a little bit about the story. But when I flip to the middle, a lot of these movie novelizations will have stills from the film. And this is both good and bad, because it's neat to be able to see the pictures from the film. It adds a little bit of something to a book. But the bad part is, when you read them, you end up getting something like this, because those stiff illustrations always seem to cause a crease right down the spine, and that's no different. But it's not worth a lot of money. Sometimes I collect things and I like that they're valuable. Sometimes I collect things and I just like to stinking have them. And this is one that I like to stinking have. I like movies and I like books. When they come together, worlds collide. I dig it, man. I dig it the most. Maybe not the most, but here's another movie novelization I picked up. While with the paperback book exchange, and this is a movie that I did dig even more. And this one is Insomnia. Insomnia. But starring two phenomenal actors, Al Pacino, Robin Williams, and then three phenomenal actors. I often kind of forget about Hilary Swank until I watch the movie, and then I realize she's just really, really good. Anyway, I'm a big fan of Al Pacino, so I watched this movie originally just because it's Al Pacino, and it's really one of Al Pacino's last great roles, and it's perhaps, in my opinion, one of my absolute favorite roles for Robin Williams. And again, Hilary Swank was so good in this movie. But it was set in Alaska, and Al Pacino has been sent there to solve a murder. And he's got a backstory in LA, a history, and you have an author. Robin Williams is an author who has a relationship with this girl who's been killed, has had a relationship with this girl who's been killed. And we got a detective who's trying to catch a murderer, and lots of problems. Not only other problems that have come with him, but he can't sleep. He already has a guilty conscience, but now he can't sleep because it's daylight all day long. And I've been to Alaska. I've been to Alaska late in the August, early September. And I've seen at the times when I've been there, when at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, there's no sun overhead, but it's still light outside. So I can see how you already have trouble sleeping, and maybe even worse. And then all kinds of other things are coming up. But this novel, it is a novel by Robert Westbrook based on the screenplay by Hilary Seitz. Fabulous book. I hope the novelization is just as good. Now, some of the things that I've grown to love about novelizations, besides the combining of movies and books, is a lot of times, at their best, they tell you the movie story in book form, but they also fill in a lot of the blanks. They add backstory, they add exposition, they give a little bit more of what's going on inside the head of the characters in the story. So when they're at their best, it's better than the movie. Sometimes they're not quite so great, and you get authors just butchering stories. But even then, it can still be fun. And I've read a couple where the author really butchered it, really just screwed it up pretty badly. But anyway, I still dig all novelizations. I collect them. I've got quite a few. And it's fun to collect because it tends to be more difficult to find what you're looking for than expensive. Some of them can be very expensive, but book collecting has a tendency to be expensive. Collecting movie novelizations can be relatively affordable. It's just often a matter of finding the book that's not all screwed up or messed up or something like that. Or just finding it, period. Because it's not like people are saving these things and passing them on like they would New York Times bestsellers and things like that. So a lot of it is just the fun. Now, when it came to them, I told you that I also found Robert McCammon books. And so I ended up picking up 3. And I've got these books already. I've got the advanced review copies. I've got signed limited editions. I've already got these books. But all the books that I have, these were 3 of the series, the Matthew Corbett series, that I hadn't read yet. All the books that I have are collectors for me, for my collection. Arcs that are never be published again. They're signed by the author. He signed them for me. Signed limited edition books. And I went into a book, and I've been reading the arcs in the series and other versions, but I've read a couple of arcs out of this series already, I think. Read at least one of the arcs. I read 2 arcs out of this series, actually. And that's what I was going to do to finish out the series, but I went into the bookstore, and they had these at a price that was good enough for me just to buy these books, read them, and then figure out what to do with them later on, whether it be moving on down the line, giving them away, I don't know, whatever. Finding somebody who wants to buy the 3 books, whatever the case may be. They were cheap enough that it was worthwhile for me to get. So Robert McCammon is one of my absolutely favorite authors, and the Matthew Corbett series could be described as historical fiction. The 1699 is when I think the very first book in the series, Speaks the Nightbird, was 1699, colonial United States, North Carolina. I think that book was set there, and then it went up to New York for the next ones. And then Matthew does some traveling and such as that. But Matthew Corbett starts out as a scribe for a traveling judge of sorts. And his boss dies, and he ends up moving to New York City in 1700. And he gets a job working for like a detective agency. Before detective agencies were detective agencies. He works as a sort of a detective. And he gets into all sorts of things. But Matthew Corbett could be described as an extremely intelligent young man. Maybe not so great in terms of figuring people out or social things, but very great at solving problems. He's got a knack for it. And he's also got a desire to do it, to solve problems, to put the puzzle pieces together. Along the same sort of a vein as a Sherlock Holmes. Not exactly the same, but that same kind of critical thinker, the person who can solve problems that other people are unable to figure out. And so these are a few books in the series that I haven't read yet. And the first one would be The River of Souls. These are all published by Levidian Publications, an amazing publisher. Brian James Freeman is the owner. They make signed limited editions, trade hardcovers, and also trade soft covers, of which this is. And good stuff. So he's seems to be publishing all the Robert McCammon things now. Freedom of the Mask, another of the Matthew Corbett series. And then the last one that I picked up there was Cardinal Black. And there's one more novel so far published after this. That one is The King of Shadows. And then there's also a collection, 7 Shades of Evil, that's been published so far. And then the final book in the series is coming out soon, I think next year, called Leviathan. That'll be it for the Matthew Corbett series, the way I understand. But that's some of the stuff I picked up at the bookstore. There are other things that I picked up on the internet. This one was an eBay purchase, and I haven't even opened it yet. This one came in the mail today. So let me open it up, take it out, show you what she looks like. So the seller put it in a bubble mailer, put cardboard around it, taped it up, and usually for soft covered books, this does the trick. And I wouldn't want to have some limited edition hardcover book shipped this way typically, but soft covers are lightweight, and this shipping method typically will do it. This tape is sticky tape. Go figure. Although it is an annoying shipping method when I'm trying to take it out. But I'm almost there. Patience, my darling. And the saran wrap or whatever it's wrapped in comes loose pretty easily. But I've told you already about the movie novelizations. And not only am I a big fan of movie novelizations, but I'm also a big fan of Westerns. And I'm a big fan of The Duke. There he is, Marion Morrison, John Wayne. And this is Rooster Cogburn, the sequel to True Grit. Now, I've done a book review on the novel True Grit, a Western that I really loved. And the movie was fabulous. The movie Rooster Cogburn was also good, not quite as good. Not nearly as good, I think I must say, as True Grit. But still, I liked it. I liked it a lot. And this one is by Martin Julian. And it was published by Signet. Now, let's go back and see, when did it get published by Signet? It is a first edition, first print, published October of 1975. You can see here the number line, and it smells so good. It smells like an old library. I like the old books. I love the way they smell. Makes me think of my childhood hours in the library. And let's see what else is in here. We got some interior artwork from the film. And these are the same paper, so it doesn't usually give you that stiff paper and that crease down the spine. This is printed in black and white right on the paper that the book has been published in. But it's neat. That's a neat thing that they add to the books. Gives you the artwork for it. And I don't know if I showed you the back. But a great movie, one that I did really love. And looking forward to this book. I have never read it. John Wayne and Katharine Hepburn. I always liked how he made fun of the way she talked. What's this aya stuff he used to say? He said it, at least in the movie one time. But a great book, great movie. Glad to add this to the collection of novelizations. I bought this one on eBay. Got it at a price I could live with, a price that made me happy. And it comes in nice and neat, just as expected. So when I'm taking more things out of the box, it is, what? Another movie novelization. Who are you going to call? Executively. Now, this one is one that is a little bit harder to come by. Trying to find one that's in good enough condition and a low enough price is not always easy, especially when you're looking at very popular novelizations of very popular movies. And this is a novelization that seems to be relatively popular. A novel by Richard Mueller based on the motion picture written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, Ghostbusters, the supernatural, spectacular first time in paperback. And there it is. I'm glad to be able to add it. It looks nice, not flawless, good enough for who it's for. And what else? Let's tell you a little bit of something about this one. It is Tor. First Tor printing, August 1985. And there it is. So this one has no number line. But I think if they did come out with a second print run, they would have had a second print number line that would have probably ended in a 2. There is some artwork early in the book. Again, it's on that same kind of paper. So it's not, and there's artwork throughout, photos from the movie. This one seems to be kind of mixed throughout. As I flip through, I'll see a picture here or there. So a neat addition, a movie that I do love. I could watch Ghostbusters again and again. It was a good one. What else do I have in here? I have a couple of eBay purchases, books that I bought just to read. And these are examples of my mania, but to me it's logical. I've got some very nice versions of both of these books on the shelves. This one here, I've got the signed limited edition from Midworld on the shelf. But I figure if I'm going to read it, I may as well read one that I can stuff in the bag, stuff in a suitcase. I can sit on the porch and read and not worry about setting it on the table when it's dirty, or a glass or a can of cold drinks sweating and the liquid pooling up under the book or any of that kind of stuff. I don't have to worry about that junk. So I like the experience of reading a book that I don't care what happens to it. And that's the case here. So this is David Wong or Jason Pargin, whatever his name is. John dies at the end, and somebody scribbled all over my book. Pisses me off. Just kidding. It was cheap on eBay. I bought it just to read, and I'm looking forward to reading that one. And then the other one here, maybe it's a crime. Maybe I'm in the same boat as many of you. I've never read anything from Robert Louis Stevenson. The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and other stories. And I bought this particular collection because I wanted to read The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But there are also other stories by Robert Louis Stevenson that I wanted to read. And here it is, The Body Snatcher. Now I've got a collection of his stories in an Easton Press edition. It's very nice. And I was planning on reading that one, but able to pick up this collection here. And now I can read this. Got it cheap. So I like to read the cheap ones. Now the last thing I want to show you, hang on, there's more. Last thing I want to show you is a book that I picked up, a little old book from a company called Curious King. Ever hear of it? And this one is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin, book 1 of the Broken Earth Trilogy, and is from Curious King in England. It is beautiful in a buckram covered purple slipcase, hot foil stamping on the side. And then this artwork from John Anthony DiGiovanni just looks so sweet on the dust jacket there. And you can see the spine of that book, how good it looks, how good it will look on my shelf. Then when I take off the dust jacket and show you more about how it looks, that quarter bound marbled cloth spine, and then the cream paper boards, 2-color hot foil stamping there, looks good. And then golly, does that look good there. That's sweet, so beautiful. And it is signed. It is the standard edition. It's numbered 266 of 500 copies, signed by the author N.K. Jemisin as well as the artist John Anthony DiGiovanni. The illustrated end pages just look so good. Both look the same, but it's chalk edition. But in addition to that, it is letterpress printed and chock full of artwork. So look at there. I'll show you some of the other interior illustrations here by John Anthony DiGiovanni. Full page in color, just chock full of artwork. Curious King, and this is their cheapest version of the book. So they've got 3 other versions, 3 other editions of this book. Curious King is published or publishing that are more expensive and higher end than this. This is their bottom line, and it is better than anything that most publishers out there will publish in terms of quality. But this is a signed limited edition, so it's not the Borders or the Barnes & Noble kind of stuff. It's not even really an Amazon kind of stuff, although I guess somebody could sell one on Amazon. If you want to buy this one, you'll probably have to go to the eBay to get it. They sold them out pretty quickly. And as I'm flipping through, that built-in ribbon page marker just kind of fell out. So there's a built-in ribbon page marker. Smith-sewn binding. Did I show you that? All of this interior artwork is just beautiful. And this one costs quite a bit more than the others that I've shown you in this video. But I wanted to show it to you just in case you didn't see the actual unboxing of the book. It looks so good. It is so nice. I got you. But this is the second book that I bought from Curious King, and this is the second standard edition that I bought from them, and they have completely delivered in both cases. So a beautiful book, a beautiful addition to the collection. I'm glad the friendly neighborhood mail lady hooked the brother up there. And with that being said, I can think of no more lies to tell, so thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. C'est la vie, baby, and me. Doo-doo. You gotta be kidding me. What's going on here? You can't leave trip hazards out for a fella to fall over.